So, welcome, girls and boys. We're going to go to the moon today, and we're going to do that in the Saturn V rocket from the Apollo 11 mission. So, here is the launch tower, which in itself is an absolutely huge structure. And you can see here that on the very top of the rocket is the launch escape system, which, if there's an emergency, there's a couple of rockets to fire away the command module. Command module's next, where those people are walking. Just shows how big it is, doesn't it? Service module underneath. The sloping section is the housing for the lunar module. Then we've got the third stage, second stage, first stage of the Saturn V rocket. It really is huge. The biggest rocket ever built. And this is the vehicle crawler, which takes the rocket out from the assembly building, which is somewhere around. Can't see it from here. There, 5 rocket engines in the first stage. And it's absolutely huge. Look at that. Amazing. The second stage starts just above the American flags there. And that's going to provide... That's also got 5 engines in as well. And that provides all the thrust needed to get the rockets into orbit around the Earth. And then the third stage will fire it from orbit towards the moon. So now we're going up in the elevator to take us into the command module.
I thought we had a 90% chance of...
So there's Neil Armstrong on the left and Buzz Aldrin on the right in their spacesuits, and I think I'm supposed to be Mike Collins, who was the command module pilot and didn't actually get to set foot on the moon, but had a very important job to keep the command module safely in orbit around the moon for the astronauts to come back to after they've been down to the surface. Here we are, really tall. We're going up quite fast now, approaching the top. Here we go, so there's the service module, and the command module sits on top. Right, so let's get strapped into the command module. Now, of course, we're going to be on our backs for launch, so that must have been, I don't know if it was quite uncomfortable for them, but stretching your arms forward there against gravity must have been a bit tiring, but I'm sure they're very used to it. So we're going to be in the left-hand seat. The far left-hand seat is, there we go, this is the command module pilot's seat. And to our right we have Neil Armstrong, he's the mission commander, and Buzz Aldrin, the lunar module pilot on the far right there. Hi Neil, hi Buzz. Hi guys, good. They seem quite happy. Now, basically, there's a lot of switches and buttons to look at here, but the most important things really is that it's divided into 3 main sections. In front of me are switches mostly to do with the launch and docking, etc. This kind of ball here is to do with attitude and position in space. We've got engine status lights here for the different stages. Separation panels here. This is the main computer. There's another computer down there beneath Neil. Neil's panel is to do with electronics and various other things there to do with spacecraft, fuel levels, quantities, gas, oxygen levels, etc. And there's a warning panel there at the top if any problems, along with master alarm lights which illuminate if there's an issue. And on the far right hand side we've got again to do with the spacecraft electronics as well. So it's pretty cramped. Down there, underneath there, is the access tunnel to the lunar module. So if you wanted to go inside that, you'd have to float down underneath this panel and through the tunnel into the lunar module. And then behind us, there's a little bit of space. Not much. Very cramped. So we're on our backs on the launch pad. There's 10 seconds to launch.
9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4.
Those engines have already lit. We're waiting for liftoff.
1, 0. All engine running.
And now we have liftoff. There's the tower disappearing away. And we're past the tower. We are now airborne. Neil Armstrong, thumbs up there. He's happy. Tower cleared. All good so far. And look, we're already going through some cloud layers here. That's how quickly it takes to get to that altitude where the clouds are. That's so quick. So this stage is mostly automatic. If there is any problems, there's various switches here which you can manually use to detach the rocket stages, etc. There's an abort light here if we need to in an emergency. Then we'll somewhere there's a button for actually aborting the mission, which means that the escape pod will fire and take the command module away from the spacecraft. Wow, so now we're pitching forwards, so we're kind of upright really, and already the sky is getting darker outside as we pass through the atmosphere there, the thicker parts of the atmosphere. And there's the sun. That's the main hatch where the astronauts get into the command module there. It's quite a narrow space.
Velocity 2,195 feet per second.
Wow. 2,195 feet every second is how fast the rocket is travelling. You can see the curvature of the Earth starting to become apparent there already. So in a short while, the first stage of the rocket will run out of fuel. That will be detached and left to crash into the sea. The second stage has 5 engines and they will ignite too. But this game, this simulator, doesn't show the second stage, sadly. It stops after the first stage. But you get the idea. They're all looking good. Now the computing power of this computer is really, at the time, was revolutionary, but now you've got more computing power on your mobile phone than really the entire processing power of this command module. Go for staging. Right, so we're almost going to drop off that first stage. And there we go. Really smooth now. No acceleration being felt by the astronauts as those engines stopped, so we're now feeling the weightlessness effect. The rocket is essentially in freefall, as are we. There's a pen floating by. Wow, almost like you can reach out and grab it. And that's quite a view.